My God, really? Really? Thank God it's over. Like seriously. And we can rant and rave and we can go on and on. This was absolutely an abomination by the Denver Broncos. It is Denver Sports Postgame Live. I am Cecil Lammey here to talk about something that I didn't think we would be talking about. I didn't even think it was possible that you would see a 70 burger today. 70 points. Look at how bad my hair is. It's terrible. It's almost as bad as the Broncos defense. Vance Joseph is getting fired. I don't have any information on that, but I know how the NFL operates. I've been covering this league professionally for 20 years. He's getting fired, everybody. Like that's what's going to happen. And if it's tonight, it's tonight. If it's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. This league does not allow for these things to happen and heads just being fine. Heads will roll. It'll probably be Vance Joseph that gets fired from the Denver Broncos. Again, no inside information about that. There's a lot of guessing right now from people, media members, of what could happen. But again, covering this league for this long, you had the only team, and I write this down, so many records, I had to write it down. The only team in NFL history with 5 touchdown passes and 5 touchdowns rushing in a single game, the Miami Dolphins. You just saw it. And I was texting with some of my friends during the game, and I was like, I cover this team, so I have to watch this. What are you doing watching it? Why didn't you go do something else? Watch this humiliation. 70 points. 70. So I know some people like when I rant and rave about this team. I don't even have the energy to do that. And I've been drinking Gamer Fuel, unpaid endorsement. Like the Tetris flavor is amazing. But seriously, I don't have the energy. 70 points. You got your ass kicked. You were incredibly embarrassed by the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel, who you didn't even interview to be a head coach. Because Nathaniel Hackett, everybody, you're going to get Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is terrible. This is as bad as it's been. This is the low point. Like you didn't think it would get lower. It just did. This is the absolute low point of the Denver Broncos franchise. There is no doubt. There is no question that what we just witnessed is the lowest it'll be. I mean, it's sell everybody, like trade players. You saw Robbie Chosen get open on Pat Surtain. That's not great. You saw Tyreek Hill go off. Raheem Mostert couldn't stop him. Devin Achane couldn't stop him. Tua Tagovailoa, outside of one bad throw, the one to the other Hill, the undrafted kid, was it Joshua Hill? Top of my head. Anyway, the undrafted tight end, like that was a bad throw in the end zone. They're going for a touchdown. They were going for another score. But you saw 70 points by the Miami Dolphins. That's second in NFL history. You saw 726 yards. That is second in NFL history. That's in a game. This is pitiful. This is disgusting. And if you're a Broncos fan and you want, like, yeah, let it all out. I don't even care. Fire everybody. Yep. Trade everybody. Yep. Let it out. One, that's not going to happen. You're not going to fire everybody. But two, like, I don't even have the energy to muster up enough frustration and aggravation. And this was the most frustrating game that I've ever watched. There's 2 moments in my career where I didn't like what I do, which sounds odd because this is what I've wanted to do. Watching this game, I was like, this isn't fun. And I am not happy at all whatsoever with this Broncos team. So 70 points, 726 yards, only team to give up 5 touchdowns rushing, only team to give up 5 touchdowns passing in the same game. Vance Joseph has to be fired. Okay. The poor tackling doesn't help. The guys out of position don't help. Why you let Robbie Chosen get open on Pat Surtain? Why you're in this situation? This is a George Payton problem as well. something that I will get into later on in the show. It's not just Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph is going to get fired. I'd almost guarantee it. How about we do this on Denver Sports Postgame Live? We bring in our friend Rachel Vigil to discuss what is going on. And Rachel, like for me, I just feel, and I know you've heard the buzz too, and it's only buzz between media members. But again, no inside information. But Vance Joseph will be fired probably tomorrow officially. I'd have to imagine that, Rachel.
I was actually going to ask you that exact question, as he should, because if you think about even last year, I'm sitting there on my couch watching this game today, and I'm like, could you imagine Sean Payton still leading the Broncos? All right, just hear me out. Russ looks much better, much, much better. If it had been Sean Payton fixing Russ and Ejiro Evero on this defense, we wouldn't be seeing points like this. Clearly, this situation is Vance Joseph. I'm appalled by what we watch. I was actually really excited to get on here and see the comments because I cannot believe, I don't think I've ever seen a game with a 70 burger, Cecil. I'm like mind blown. I haven't fully comprehended what I just watched.
Yeah, second most points in NFL history, second most yards, 726 in NFL history, and the first team ever to give up 5 touchdowns passing and 5 touchdowns rushing in one game. I mean, historically bad. And I said it just before you jumped on, Rachel. There's only 2 moments in my career where I haven't liked what I do. One was CSU when McChesney and Dreesen almost got in a fight in the press box. That was not fun. Sorry to both. They're both my friends. And the second one was today. I'm watching this game. I was like, and I love Mike McDaniel. I love him. I've known him since he was a teenager because he was a ball boy for Mike Shanahan. He used to hang out on the sidelines. Like, love his story going through the alcoholism and all those sorts of things. Like, he could have broken the record if he wanted to. They kick a field goal now at 73 points, and the Dolphins own that record.
So soft. I'm like, even Bronco fans are like, kick the field goal so we can at least be a part of history and remember it. Like, even though it's a bad thing for Broncos, people are still like, kick the field goal. I was like, kick the field goal. Just do it. And then my fiance actually had a really good point. He's like, it's actually more disrespectful, in my opinion, to not kick it because you could have kicked it. You could have had the record, and then you chose not to further or save yourself from further embarrassing the Broncos. Like, what?
Yeah. It's interesting and it's disgusting. Like, this is a humiliating performance. There's no way to sugarcoat this. There's no way to go, in a different direction or counter to what people are saying. Like, no, fire Vance Joseph. And I never want to promote anyone getting fired. And I'll move on from that. And I'll be like, hey, that's what has to happen.
Here's the thing. Why wasn't Pat Surtain, if he is the number 1 corner in the league, why wasn't he on Tyreek Hill the entire game? Is that a defense who thinks that they're better than they are? And they're like, oh, don't worry, we've got playmakers who can stop him, because the Cheetah went out there and absolutely destroyed everybody. And so I'm like, what was the game plan there? Why was he just not shadowing him the entire game?
It's like you miss Justin Simmons, and De'Aaron Turner is not good.
No.
I'm not going to be the guy that keeps saying Tariq Woolen, but I wouldn't have to if De'Aaron Turner was actually good. The pick right before Tariq Woolen. Like, and it's someone on Twitter noted this during one of my tweet rampages. It's a compilation of all these bad picks, all of these bad moves. Like, this team has a Vance Joseph problem. That they also have a George Payton problem. They do not have the talent. Look at the talent. I mean, the third string, the undrafted kid from BYU was running all over this team. Like, look at the talent the Dolphins have.
I've been saying it since way back to last year. It was not Hackett. It was not Russ. It was George Payton. And that stands so true. I mean, just through everything that this team has gone through, your leadership is ultimately what, helps you win games. And it's very clear that they do not have very good leadership out there.
Yeah. And all these decisions. And again, Russ isn't not even in my top 10 of problems for this team. No. A lot of the problems stem from the players that you brought in that just aren't performing well. The next big Zach Allen play will be his first big play. Yep. DJ Jones, who I appreciate, and I like Zach enough. He's not real friendly in the locker room, but I like him enough. DJ Jones, I like. He's not playing well. Your struggles up front. Josie Jewell gets hurt. You're already without Justin Simmons. And these aren't excuses. This just shows you where other teams can go to that backup or go to that backup's backup, and they have good talent. The Broncos, they have an injury, and it's like disaster because the guys behind them aren't any good.
Yep, 100%. It's the depth that this team has. And we've talked about it. I feel like for all training camp, you could just tell it's like, okay, if any of the starters go out, this team's going to be in a lot of trouble. We're just seeing more and more injuries pile on. Everybody blamed Lauren Landau last year, right? Oh, all the hamstring injuries. Well, it still seems like they're dealing with injuries left and right. It's like every play. I mean, McGlinchey out there, and you're like, oh, there he goes. Well, now Russ is going to get sacked. When do we see a sack? In the fourth quarter. It's just adding up, Cecil. And I understand why Broncos fans are so frustrated, but you have to see change. And we saw last year, it took them far too long to make change, all the way up until after that Christmas game disaster. So make change now, because that was the worst experience you could have had out there in Miami.
And you bring up Christmas Day and the Rams game against Baker the Babymaker, but like for me, like that was a low point. This is much lower. Like I feel much, much lower at this game, and it's flipping week 3.
Question though, is that because it's the defense? And like, it's one thing to watch your offense struggle and you're like, okay, because your defense kind of keeps you in it, right? But when you have a bad defense and you're seeing 50 points being put on the board, it hurts a little bit more. Is it because of the defense that you're like, this is way worse than last year? Or is it just because, I mean, Russ looks better, right? Like that's a plus in there.
Yeah, Russ doesn't look bad. I think the kids need more time, like Marvin Mims. Is that not completely obvious that Marvin Mims is your best receiver? I do feel bad for Cortland because Court's trying, man. But that's the problem with playing when you get in a hero ball. Hey, we're down by 30. I got to make a play. Oh, fumble. You know, but to me, the defense, back to your question, it's like the poor tackling. And that's not a Vance Joseph thing. That's an effort thing. But like, where's the effort? Where's the heart? Things didn't get chippy until the end. Yeah. You know, like why? And I'm not, not saying anyone should throw a punch or anything, but like, where's the fire from this team? Where's the heart from this team? Where's the, like, you're not going to embarrass. I don't care if it's your house. You're not going to embarrass us. The Broncos were fine getting embarrassed.
Mm-hmm. To your point on that, I saw your tweet. And you got to give it, because you could tell the players that were still out there trying and the players that had completely given up. And you really got to give it to those guys that stayed out there and they were trying to hit extra hard, right? I mean, that's tough. I'm actually curious, though, on the last play of the game was, I think they gave it to Javonte, with Russ handing it off to Javonte. Should they have just knelt in that moment? Like, or is it, all right, we're going to just keep running. You know what I mean? It just feels like it was like, all right,
when you're down by 50, why is Russell Wilson out there? Why is Javonte Williams getting the ball? Jaleel had, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe 1 or 2 carries at the end.
Yeah, I think 1.
You get, you're down by 30 or something. Your defense isn't playing well. Jaleel, you're getting 15 carries.
Yeah.
Like, take a look. This is part of the evaluation and part of the problem, back to my bad tackling thing, because I'm going through like, okay, now the locker room's going to be really bad to be in. So I want to be able to ask pointed questions without coming off like an aloha. And I have to clean that up for video podcast purposes. But like, so part of what I'm going to ask players this week is, how do you get better tackling when you can't really tackle during the week? That's pointing out that they haven't been tackling well, yet also not coming across like a total jerk. Like, hey, you're a poor tackler. What happened? But when you get down by 30, it's time for the young guys to play. It's time to develop. Where's Jarrett Stidham? And that doesn't mean there's any controversy or whatever, but it's like, why isn't Jaleel playing? Why isn't Marvin playing? Why aren't you going to Stidham? Like, you go out there, you trot out Pat Surtain, who's on Robbie Chosen. I wish he'd just stop changing his name. Anyway, get down how you get down, baby. I don't know, whatever. But like, what if Pat Surtain shreds his knee on that play? And you're down by 30, you're down by 50, whatever. And that's not even an exaggeration. They were down by 50. They lost by 50. Like, what if Javonte shreds his knee again? Well, what? Why is he out there? This is a Sean Payton thing. So it's like, Sean Payton, what are you doing? I know Vance Joseph is going to get fired. No inside information. I just know how this league works. Vance Joseph will be fired. If not tonight, then tomorrow. It's going to happen. But Sean Payton, what are you doing? Because your choices are very suspect.
I have 2-parter for you, real quick. Who do you think they bring in for DC? Quick name, real quick on that one.
Oh, I'd have to look. I haven't wrapped my brain around it. I will say this: it's not Rex Ryan.
I was literally going to ask you that, because I was like, are they picking up the phone to call Rex Ryan, or was that just not the scheme?
If you go back, I don't know if you could stomach it, Rachel, because I really, even I'll tell tales out of turn. They might not like if I say this, but I'll say it anyway. So after first commercial break on Tuesday, Tyler Columbus texts me. He's like, "Stop yelling, psycho." And of course, that's just Tyler, barking, doing his thing. But like in the first segment, I lost my mind on the Rex Ryan thing. So if you go back and listen to Tuesday's Denver Sports Tonight, you'll hear all of my reasonings. But I'll sum it up without the yelling for this show. I know a lot of people with that Bills organization. They told me within a week when Sean McDermott was hired, like, oh my God, he's like sleeping at the facility. And this was in the offseason. This was like February or whatever. Wow. And what I was told about Rex Ryan is like, he's a blowhard. He talks a big game. He doesn't want to work. And you're Sean Payton. There's one thing we know about Sean Payton. Blankety blanker is going to work. Okay. Yeah. He's going to work. So this whole like Rex Ryan's going to come in, from what I know, at his last stop, which was what, 2016? It's been a minute. He was lazy. Mm-hmm. I don't think lazy. I don't care how much experience you have, whatever. Like, what's Wade Phillips doing? I guarantee you Wade Phillips isn't going to be lazy. There's your answer. There's the answer, Rachel. Like, Wade Phillips is out there. Go get him. But the Rex Ryan thing, available? I believe so, yes. He might be consulting. A lot of teams do that now where they're hiring old coaches just to be a consultant type thing. Yeah. And they don't have the game plan or whatever. But even if it's just Wade as a Jerry Rosberg type of move, right? Where Wade's not running the defense, but he can kind of run the defense. Like, that would be better. The Rex Ryan thing is folly. It's fake. It's, again, he's a blowhard. He doesn't want to work. Mm-hmm. That's not the answer for this team.
Okay. My second one is on Sean Payton. It's easy to be like, oh, we're not impressed with Sean Payton as this team is now 0-3 and suffered the worst loss in Denver Broncos history. It's really easy to go on and say that. But it's actually, if you kind of go down deeper, I haven't been impressed. Why? If you're down by, I don't remember if it's 21 or 14, Cecil, and you kick the field goal. What is the point of kicking the field goal? Just go for it. Who cares? Right. But instead, you're going to do an onside kick for the first play of the season. Like, that's where it doesn't make any sense to me. You're being risky in one area and the others you're not. Like, if you're going to do it, then go full and just absolutely be risky all the time. Like, who cares at that point?
Well, and I'll go back to something. You and I have had many off-air conversations. And one of them was when I was talking about your opinion on bringing in all the Saints guys.
Yes.
And I was telling you, like, tell me more of the why. And you told me more of the why off air, and it was fascinating. You're completely right on that. You know what I mean? And I was even, not that I disagreed with you. I was just like, I want to know more of your why, because I see the why, like when Will Lutz is up there saying like, man, he loves me and that appreciate, like, that's part of my why. But if we went like your opinion versus my opinion, it's your opinion on that clearly comes out on top, because you saw the Adam Troutman play. Like, he's just not doing anything with it, and he's dropping the pass, and it's like, he didn't make a football move, so it's not a fumble. But like, this is where you get into, do you want to be comfortable or do you want to win?
Yeah.
Do you want to get playmakers or do you want to get your guys? You know, and if your guys come in, how motivated are they? Because they're your guys.
Yep.
These are all questions, and these are questions that you brought up. And again, at the time, I was like, I disagree with that. I would look back on that and say, I should have formed an opinion similar to yours in that manner.
I've been telling people it feels like he was trying to create the Saints 2.0, and I don't know why, because the Saints were very good in his last season there anyways. So it's like, you can't bring in all of those players and expect everything to change. It kind of feels like with the Walton Penner group that they were just trying to find easy fixes. Don't get me wrong, but bringing in Sean Payton right now really does, I don't want to say look like a mistake, but it kind of looks like you took the easy out, right? You got the biggest name you could find out there and you brought him in hopes that he was going to change absolutely everything. And that has not been the case. It felt like George Payton did that with Russell Wilson. Now, again, nobody could have predicted what we saw with Russell Wilson last year, and he's looking a lot better. But it seems like they're just trying to find one easy thing where they can drop it in and be like, everything's going to be fine. Felt like Sean Payton was like, hey, I'm going to drop in my old players, the ones that know and love me and respect me, and they're going to come in here and they're going to fix everything. That's not how this NFL, the National Football League, works. And it has been disappointing being able to watch them. And it's clear that the chemistry is just not clicking. Cecil, you and I can both agree. Chemistry is everything in this league. If you don't have chemistry, you will absolutely not win football games. And it kind of is becoming more and more clear that they are lacking chemistry on all levels.
Well, Rachel, I cannot wait to watch Coffee Break tomorrow.
Appreciate you, Cecil. Thank you so much.
I have a feeling you will have a thing or two to say about all of this.
I absolutely will. 10:30 tomorrow morning, Coffee Break. I'm going to have a load of guests piling on to talk about it too. Broncos, obviously. Worst loss in Denver Bronco history. Cecil, appreciate you. Knock it out of the park, my friend. We'll see you later.
All right, we'll do. There we go. Rachel V. Hill, coffee break, talking about this team and, well, everything that they didn't do on today's game. Yeah. What do you say? You know, how much can you say fire everybody? How much can you say like this isn't working? How much can you say when again, this is a George Payton problem, this is a talent problem, this is an injury problem, this is a coaching problem, this is a philosophy problem, this is a culture problem. And that's probably the most disappointing of this entire thing is Sean Payton. And I've been around that building and it does feel different. But if you don't win, it's just going to be fake. And if there's one thing in this life you do not want to be, it's fake. And while I'm there every day, it's open to the media, and I'm in the locker room every day that it's open to the media, although Fridays not a lot of people around on Fridays when open locker rooms going on. But anyway, like I can tell you with 100% certainty, more so than almost but a small handful of people that are there as much as I am, this locker room feels different. But how does it feel that way if you're 0-3 and you give up 70 points? Like, how does that happen? And if you are the Denver Broncos, like, what are you doing? If you're the Broncos, like, what can you do? If you're the Walton Penner Group, like this, you can't just slap a great value label on it and call it good. Like, this game is much, much different. This game is much different than, running a business, whatever, that type of stuff. But I believe that one of the problems is Vance Joseph is going to get fired. And we have to see that come to fruition. As I'm just checking Twitter now, literally to see if he's been fired. I have my phone off. I'm doing this show. I'm not necessarily downtrodden, but this is just disgusting. Like, this is disgusting and infuriating and frustrating all at the same time. Again, a lot of the times I have a lot of energy and I'll be like, what are they doing? I'll start yelling and stuff like I was on Tuesday, on a Tuesday. But I mean, how do you drum up your energy when you get just waxed? You get absolutely waxed by the Miami Dolphins. And, where do you come down in the chat room? You guys can chime in. Like, should Mike McDaniel have just kicked the field goal? So, yeah, the Broncos, like, don't ever forget this. Don't ever forget the 73 points because they could have. And he probably would have made the field goal. But Sean Payton was supposed to fix the culture. He doesn't have the players to do it yet. Okay, that's obvious. And I said at the beginning of the season, like, I feel they could win 10 games. That's not going to be the case. You're looking about 5 wins. Somebody on Twitter asked me, can they get the number 1 pick? I said, they're already the number 1 pick. So go look at, what is it, tankathon.com. The Denver Broncos already heading into the week before this game were the number 1 pick. So their grasp on the number 1 pick is firm. Like, okay, that now comes into the conversation. It's flipping September. I don't want to talk about the draft because it just shows you how wrong things have gone, how off things have been with this Broncos team. And it's really the culture thing that is the weirdest part to me because Sean Payton was supposed to fix that culture. Like, where are the fighters at? I know they don't have the players. Okay. It's a talent problem. It's a depth problem. They don't have enough talent. They do have some stars. They even have, dare I say, maybe a superstar. Well, that superstar just got burned by Robbie Chosen. Like, who's been on as many teams as he's been in the league. He's been on 8 seasons, I think, and he's been on 4 teams, whatever the number is. So a little bit of exaggeration, hyperbole, but like your one superstar just got burned all day, and not by Tyreek Hill, who is a bona fide superstar. So, we could go into the whole Justin Fields, Micah Parsons. That's old. I don't want to do that. I want to figure it out now with what you have now. Plain revisionist history. Tariq Woolen, yeah, that doesn't do you any good now. You have a George Payton problem. He has not gotten you enough talent. And he got rid of the pick so he could get Russell Wilson and then he could get you, Sean Payton. So if you're Sean Payton, that culture, you should have seen it more. You should have seen more fight. And at the end, I tweeted it out, and I'll make sure that I didn't get any haters from it. Like, it's fun when these type of games, and I don't really emphasize fun because it's not fun. But I learned who I need to mute like right away. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. On that tweet where I said that I'm glad that some people had fight out there. I had 4 people, 27 replies, 4 of them were muted, so I don't see them, or I can choose not to see them, whatever. But it's like, that's where we're at with this team. How many people can I mute on Sunday? Like, this is upsetting, and this is depressing, because as someone who came from a family full of Broncos fans, I know how proud you are. I know how knowledgeable you are. I know how you've expected so much more. It's been so different, and you have been spoiled. I used to say it during the good days, like, Broncos fans, you're spoiled. And it's evident now just how spoiled you've been for most of your football rooting days. Like, you've been incredibly spoiled. Now they suck, and they're embarrassing. They're the most embarrassing team in the league. The Raiders fans are goofballs, and they're jokes, and they're clowns, and they're huge douchers, or whatever I can say or can't say. Like, yeah, that's the Raiders fans. You got it. And the team's not as embarrassing as the Broncos are. Raiders fans live in the 80s, stuck in the 80s, like my hair. Like, and they're still better than the Broncos are. That sucks. Sean Payton was supposed to change this. He hasn't changed it. He needs more help. He needs a different GM. And we remember, as Rachel brought up the Saints time, the Saints were 7-9, 7-9, 7-9 for 3 years in a row. Kind of reminded me of the end of the Shanahan days, right? Where it's like, come on, 8-8, 7, whatever. It's not gonna cut it. So in those 3 seasons, it took the draft of 2017 when the Saints got 4 superstars. 4, not just stars, superstars. And that's because Mickey Loomis knows what he's doing. Mickey Loomis is one of the best GMs in the league. Not as good as Howie Roseman, who I love. And not to give too much away, but there's people that work for the Eagles that they're like, I love when you say you love Howie Roseman. Because it's kind of a running little bingo card for anytime I'm on the air. Yeah, I love Howie Roseman. You know what? Mickey Loomis, pretty God blessed good as well. He's pretty God blessed good. Like, he's blankety blank good. So in 2017, after the Saints were 7-9, 7-9, 7-9 for 3 years, Mickey Loomis got 4 superstars in that draft. While the Broncos were drafting Garrett Bowles, I don't want his masseuse to be mad at me, but like Garrett Bowles, the Saints got Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Alvin Kamara, and Trey Hendrickson. And I always told people, don't forget about Trey Hendrickson. He was the 4th rounder that year, I believe, top of my head. He was at the Shrine Bowl, FAU kid. And I was like, he's like Derek Wolfe. He was better than Derek Wolfe. Okay? Like, Trey Hendrickson is a superstar. And he was their 4th rounder that year. But it was those 4 players that allowed the Saints to be incredibly competitive, and much more so than the 7-9, 7-9, 7-9 seasons, back-to-back-to-back seasons that the Saints and Sean Payton had. So Sean Payton's really good, right? He's a really good head coach. We haven't seen it yet. Sean Payton needs help and needs the tandem of having that great GM in place with him. If Sean Payton's trying to do this by himself, these are your results. If you have George Payton as a yes man, yes, sir, what do you want, Sean? Okay, Sean. Like, you can't do that. And I feel that's the position they put George Payton in. George Payton is a good scout, but he's a good GM. No. And that doesn't mean I'm better or whatever. I think that's such a, well, I'll say it. I think it's stupid when people bring that up. You couldn't do it any better. A bunch of freaking yeah. I just know what is being a good GM: Mickey Loomis, Howie Roseman, Brett Veach, and then I know people that aren't good GMs. And then I look at the people that are been passed over by the Broncos so that they could hire George Payton, who waited forever and ever to get this opportunity and then totally dropped the ball. Like, well, that doesn't work. So you have Sean Payton by himself trying to fix a team that didn't have draft picks, didn't have talent. From a GM that went from running the show so much so that he didn't have to interview Mike McDaniel because Nathaniel Hackett, and didn't have to pay Russell Wilson. And again, I know there's conflicting reports on this, but from what I know, and I do not talk to Mark Rodgers, who is Russell Wilson's agent, when I knew Seattle wanted to get rid of Russ 3-4 years ago, whatever it is, that wasn't because I talked to Mark Rodgers. And I know that there was an accusation at the time, like, oh, that's just from his agent. It's agent-fed information. I don't listen to agent-fed information because the agents tell you the sky's pink if it helps their client. But in knowing that, I know, and others have reported things differently, which is fine. They have their sources. I have mine. There was zero pressure from Russ's camp to get him a new contract. He had 2 years left on his deal when the trade was done. You could have let him play out the first year, see how it went, and then paid him a little bit more or paid him a little bit less. You didn't have to make that contract happen. Again, ownership change, all these things. Like, it would have been better for George Payton's career if he'd have just waited. But instead, according to the people that I talked to, Payton went out of his way to get that deal done so it could be wrapped up and you'd have Russell Wilson. And now you're facing this contract situation where Russ probably won't even stay with the team. And it's not even his fault because so much is wrong with this team. And that's why the fire Vance Joseph crowd. Has he literally been fired yet? Chat room, let me know. It's coming. It's coming. And again, I don't promote anyone getting fired. I don't like that conversation, not only because of the energy that it brings, but just it's week 3. And Vance Joseph is already going to get fired. It's week 3. And yeah, they could stop Chicago or whatever, but Chicago's got their own set of problems. And then Hackett or whatever, it's like, all right, the Jets and Zach Wilson or whatever. Like, do we want to continue to do this? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. It is absolutely insane to have Vance Joseph as your defensive coordinator. He will be fired. I'd imagine today or tomorrow is when that happens. And then we'll see, man. We'll see what happens from there. And on that note, I mean, does anybody even want to go through the box score, right? Here's what they didn't do. But this problem with Sean Payton not being able to change the culture. Coaches change cultures, but so do players. And you don't have enough players. You don't have enough of Payton's guys. You don't have enough toughness on this team. You don't have enough fight on this team. Not everybody. You've got some fight. There are some players out there fighting, but not everybody. And not the players that you need to be fighting. If you're the Denver Broncos, that's what's so depressing about this, because it's staring at you in the face just how bad they are and how bare the cupboards are with this Broncos team. So Russell Wilson might not be here next year, and it's really not even part of his fault. And who would have thought that? Because I entered the season saying, like, Russ has got to be great or he's gone. And I'm not saying he's been great, but he's certainly not been the problem. And he's still going to be gone because the contract that was structured in a way that 2025 salary kicks in after this season. If you keep him around for 2024, then 2025 becomes guaranteed. So you're already in a problem with Russell Wilson because your general manager signed him to a contract that he didn't need to sign him to at that time. Again, zero pressure from Russ's people. So it's a George Payton problem. The Vance Joseph thing, that's a problem. The poor tackling, which is not Vance Joseph, it's more on effort. Like, why are so many tackles missed? These guys are supposed to be professionals. And Vance Joseph can put you in position to make a tackle. Why aren't you making tackles? Okay, Vance Joseph is not putting you in a position to make tackles because his scheme is terrible. You know, the Pat Surtain, the way to deal with Tyreek Hill, it took a play for Tyreek Hill to get going. One play. And that was it. And that play, I put it out on Twitter with the coaching angle, the coach's tape, not from the tape, but the TV replayed it with all 22. And you could see Delarian Turner-Yell came up and allowed Tariq Hill to go behind him. And then it was game over. And Tariq's got 100 yards in the first quarter, was it? First half, whatever it was. Like, so yes, depressing, upsetting, frustrating, and just flat out embarrassing. It is embarrassing to be a Broncos fan right now. And I don't even blame you. I don't blame you if you start wearing your Nuggets gear. I don't blame you if you start wearing your Avs gear. I think with CU, we all knew Oregon was going to be a problem. And you can still wear your CU gear proudly. I'm actually writing about that in Mile High Monday, denversports.com. Make sure to check that out. But, like, seriously, put your Broncos gear away. Until they earn your fandom, you can still root for them. You can still cheer them on. I'm never going to tell someone how to be a fan. But if you're a fan that is apathetic, again, as I had friends texting me during the game, I was just like, why are you watching? I have to watch, but why are you watching? Like, go to the mall, go watch a movie, go do yard work. Like, you got a million things you could do. It's Colorado, baby. Go for a hike. Get your mountain bike out. You don't need to watch the Broncos. But as bad as this is, as terrible as it's been, put your gear away. Until they earn your fandom, you don't have to go out here. I know, let's go Broncos. And that's my problem with media today, as I've got many friends in the Denver media. I have some others that I do not like or care for. And it's mainly because their coverage is not authentic. What did I say earlier? Don't be fake, right? I have 2 rules in life. Don't be dumb. Don't be in a cult. An addendum to that would also be don't be fake. And there's too much Broncos coverage that is like, we got it, guys. Let's go Broncos. We're fans just like you. That you're not an analyst then. And I'm not saying nobody likes negative stuff. I hate the people that are like super negative all the time. That's why I don't really, I wasn't predicting a Broncos win, but I didn't think they'd have 70 points put on them, because I do not like negative coverage as well. I like balanced coverage. It's one thing that Mace and I try to do on Orange and Blue Today every day. I believe we're successful at it, and we certainly appreciate your support, is to be balanced. Like, this is what went wrong. This is how you could fix it. This is what went wrong. This is how you can fix it. There's no fixing this unless Vance Joseph's fired, and that doesn't even fix it. Hiring a Rex Ryan doesn't work. He's a blowhard and he's lazy. Like, go hire Wade Phillips as a consultant. If you're the Broncos, that's your best bet for any sort of like getting back on track. And you'll beat Chicago. Whatever. It doesn't even matter. And again, you already have the number 1 overall pick. Don't you kind of want to keep that? I know it's September, but don't you kind of want to keep that as the season goes on? But where's the fight? Where's the heart? Where's the culture? It's not there yet. The depth isn't there. The talent isn't there. What can the Broncos possibly do? Nothing fast. This is going to be a long one. And if you're a Broncos fan, stay patient. Again, stay positive and let's go Broncos and all those sorts of things. But at the same time, know that this process is going to take a long, long time. This is not an easy fix. This isn't just like you fire Vance Joseph and everything's good. That's not the case whatsoever at all. Vance Joseph will be fired probably tomorrow, but that's not gonna, and now they're great. Like, nope, it's still gonna be a long season, and it's September and it's week 3, and we're saying that. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And I want to go back to the previous regime and say the baton that they handed the Walton Penner Group. If you're the Walton Penner Group, can you ask for some of your money back? Because you were sold a bill of goods. We got you a GM and we got you a quarterback and we got you a roster. No. So part of me wants to blame Joe Ellis. I know, don't say it. Like, no, I'll say it because I don't care. And I like Joe Ellis. I do. And Joe somewhat liked me. But under Joe Ellis's watch, you did not allow Mike Shanahan to come back when John Elway had it in place. After 1 year of Vance Joseph as the head coach, Mike Shanahan was ready. Kirk Cousins was coming with him. And it was allegedly, or whatever I have to say, Joe Ellis that shut that down. After 1 year of Vance Joseph, John Elway gets a lot of grief. And I'm not even saying it's not for good reason. But John Elway had the plan. He had Mike Shanahan coming back to be the head coach. And it was denied, allegedly, by Joe Ellis. But the baton that was handed to the new ownership group was faulty. And they aren't football people. I know Condoleezza Rice loves football and is football. Like, I get that, right? She's the most football-y person in the ownership group. Greg Penner's not a football guy. And Kerry Walton Penner's not a football gal. Anyone else in the ownership group who I may be forgetting, like, they're not football people. They are learning the business the hard way. It's more than just hire Sean Payton and everything's good. You don't have the right situation that you need to have a successful team. And that's what's sad. And again, it's not even Russell Wilson's fault. Russell Wilson isn't the problem. He's not the answer, though, either. And I suppose that sounds like a country song. She wasn't my problem, but she was my answer. I don't know, right? 18 wheels and a dozen roses. Always some sort of play in country music. Anyway, yeah, this is depressing. I'm sorry, Broncos fans. I'm sorry. I didn't have anything to do with this team, and I just want to apologize because it was supposed to be better. You were supposed to have fun on Sundays. Instead, who's having fun now? Who even flipping cares anymore? Go Nuggets. Go Avs. Like, whatever. Rocky's going to lose 100. I don't care. But this is pathetic, and it's terrible. And it's going to take a while for it to turn around. You're going to win against Chicago. You probably win against the Jets. So no, you're only 2-3, guys. Come on, let's go. And then Kansas City will wax you. And then we're off to the races, everybody. Get this team to the bye week. Get this team to the trade deadline, which I believe is Halloween. So about a month from now. So a month from now, you will have won 2 more games. You'll have lost 2 more games. So you're probably going to be, 2-5? Is that the number? Trade deadline's coming up. You're going to trade Justin Simmons. You're going to trade Randy Gregory. You're going to trade maybe Pat Surtain. Like, you trade Jerry Jeudy. You trade Cortland Sutton. Sorry, this is where this team's at. You're going to have to start thinking about a left tackle of the future, although Bowles hasn't been as ballsy as he could have been. Like, this is going to be a long road. This is going to be an ugly season. It could be uglier than last year, which got pretty ugly at the end. So keep the faith as much as you can. Make sure to check out denversports.com for all of your, Denver sports needs, whether it's Broncos or Buffs or Nuggets or Avs, and yes, even the Rockies. It's all at denversports.com. Sign up for that Denver Sports Daily. It's our free daily newsletter right to your inbox every single morning. You've got a life. We don't. It's a Denver Sports Daily. Sign up for it at denversports.com. And I'll be back tomorrow. Orange and Blue today, 3:30. Coffee break, 10:30. Make sure to watch all of our digital channels. We appreciate your support in that. Help us grow the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube right now, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And we appreciate you. This one's a rough one. This one's an ugly one. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So please keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Anyway, appreciate you all. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?